Hey there, gang. Welcome to Ranking Shit with the Crypt. Here we go. This week's list is the best game shows of all time.
Come on down! You're the next contestant on Do the Thing!
Number 10.
The Newlywed Game. And here's your host, the star of the Newlywed Game, Bob Eubanks.
Your wife said they have more grass than you do.
Grass? Where have none?
I wouldn't bet on that.
1966 to 1974. The Newlywed Game premiered on July 11th, 1966, and was the last daytime game show to be taped in black and white before everyone went to color in October of that year. The idea of the game was to bring on newly married couples and ask them questions about each other, and points were awarded if your answer matched that of your spouse. It was a recipe for some fantastically funny comments and moments, and there are still tons of clips to watch on YouTube that we highly recommend you do.
Tell me, where specifically is the weirdest place that you personally, girls, have ever gotten the urge to make whoopee? The weirdest place, Olga? Yes, Olga?
In the ass?
Number 9.
Let's make a deal. And now, here's America's top trader, TV's big dealer, Monty Hall.
Premiered in 1963 and was hosted by Monty Hall for almost 30 years.
Hi, I'm Monty Hall, backstage at Let's Make a Deal.
Since it showed up on TV, there has been some version of it on television ever since. Since Monty stepped away, there have been several other hosts, but Monty himself made an appearance on one of the Wayne Brady episodes, which was pretty cool.
Is Wayne Brady gonna have to choke a bitch?
The concept was that audience members would be offered a deal by the host, and you would try to upgrade your prize by making a better deal and avoiding the zonk.
Rover's back of the curtain that they turned down. And you turned down a pair of goats. How clever of you to have done that.
Early in the making of the show, an audience member showed up in a chicken costume, which led to her being chosen for Let's Make a Deal. And that led to audience members picking up on that, and then costumes became more and more outlandish as the show went on, and still is.
Seriously, it's outlandish.
Number 8.
When is it a good idea to put your pantyhose in the microwave oven for about 2 minutes?
When your house is surrounded by the police.
Hollywood Squares showed up on TV in 1965 and has been around ever since, with several hosts along the way, starting with Peter Marshall, father of Penny Marshall of TV's Laverne and Shirley. It has since been hosted by over a dozen other faces, from Drew Carey to Joan Rivers to Drew Barrymore. A panel of usually B-list celebrities were in the squares of a tic-tac-toe board, and you had to play it and be the first to get your line in a row. Boxes were awarded by asking the celebrity a question that they would usually give a goofy answer to at first before guessing, and then you either agreed or disagreed with them. If you got it right, you got the square. The Hollywood Square.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Number 7.
This is the new $25,000 pyramid.
And I give good...
The Pyramid Game shows, known by several different names over the years, starting with the $10,000 pyramid, then the $25,000 pyramid, the $50,000 pyramid, up to the $100,000 pyramid, and then just the Pyramid Game, because the game board was in the shape of, you guessed it, a pyramid.
It all makes sense.
It has seen several hosts over the years, but was most notably helmed by the great Dick Clark. It was a fun one to watch, as the contestants were usually teamed up with a celebrity, and one would give examples to the others to guess the title of said category. And if you could move up and cover the whole pyramid, you would win the top prize.
Because you're very attracted to the person. Because he's your husband. Because
why you marry someone?
Because it's your wedding night. Because you're horny as hell.
Why you make love to someone?
Number 6.
The word game of the stars, Password.
Do you like to play password?
I love it.
Would you like to do it? We're all ready to do it. Here, play password, that is.
The Password Game premiered in 1961 and was originally hosted by Alan Ludden, and is another show that has stuck around forever and has had fairly recent versions hosted by Jimmy Fallon, Keke Palmer, and others. Other than the game board setup itself, Password is essentially the original version of the Pyramid Game shows that we just talked about, with a celebrity and a contestant trying to get each other to say the password while giving hints of only one word at a time on this one.
Jackass.
Jackass. were going to say that.
The formula worked and was funny, so the show lasted. Number 5.
Match Game. And now, here's the star of Match Game, Gene River.
Match Game hit your TVs in 1962 and was originally hosted by the hilarious Gene Rayburn. You know, come to think of it, Match Game, Pyramid, and Password game shows are all pretty much the same damn show. With Match Game, there was a panel of 6 celebrities, and you were given a phrase as a contestant, and you got a point for every time your answer matched one of the celebrities' answers. It relied heavily on double entendres and tongue-in-cheek moments that were often a riot.
Marvin said, I just married a school teacher, and you know what? On our honeymoon, she gave me a blank.
She gave him an oral exam.
Right.
Just like Password and Pyramid, for that matter. Unlike Password and the Pyramid games, though, which usually featured B-list celebrities, Match Game was top shelf for its era. It had people like Sammy Davis Jr., Betty White, Richard Dawson, and more. Number 4.
Canadian murder. Canadian.
Oh boy, well.
Wheel of Fortune showed up on January 6th, 1975, and has been on the air since. The show was originally hosted by the great Chuck Woolery, but in 1981 was taken over by Pat Sajak, who teamed up with the gorgeous Vanna White to make an iconic game show. Wheel is also the longest-running syndicated game show without interruption, with over 8,000 episodes under its belt. Contestants would spin a giant wheel and get cash value for guessing correct letters in a phrase or saying on the board.
I saw.
Oh, that'd be a good idea, yeah.
Mythological hero Achilles.
Can't accept that.
Okay.
The idea was to figure out what it said before your opposition, and with as much money as you could accrue along the way. Vanna White might be the most iconic game show presenter of all time.
A goddamn national treasure.
Number 3.
The Price is Right. And now, here's the star of The Price is Right, Bob Barker.
Price is Right showed up at first from 1956 to 1965 and was revived in 1972 with host Bob Barker,
A new car.
who hosted from then until his retirement in 2007 when Drew Carey took over. There were a few announcers, but most remember Rod Rowdy shouting,
Come on down. You're the next contestant on The Price is Right.
and yelling out the name of one of the audience members who would run to the front of the studio to play the game. Once you were chosen, you had to play a choice variety of games, all based on guessing the prices of the goods they were shown.
You guess the price, you win the prize.
During my era, staying home sick from school meant chicken noodle soup, ginger ale, and The Price is Right to recover.
And let me tell you, it's better than chicken soup.
Side note, its 10,000th episode aired this year. Number 2.
It's time for the Family Feud.
Originally aired from 1976 to 1985 with the great Richard Dawson as its host, who was known for kissing all of the female contestants.
Well, if you're gonna cry, I won't kiss you. I don't want you to cry.
Can you even imagine that today? Each round, you and your family had to match the answers on the board that were the result of asking 100 people on the street the same question.
100 people surveyed, top 6 answers around the board.
It has seen several hosts over the years, with Steve Harvey doing it the second most behind Dawson himself. There was also a great stretch with Louis Anderson. When it was revived in 1988 with Ray Combs as the host, it was immediately popular again, and in 1995, Richard Dawson decided to come back to host the show himself, which led to Combs getting the boot. In a very much related story, at 40 years old, Combs was hospitalized for a suicide attempt on June 1st, 1996, and was found dead by suicide in that hospital the very next day after hanging himself in the closet with his bed sheets.
That is grim.
And the number 1 game show of all time, of course,
This is Jeopardy!
Cats and Dogs, The Revenge of Blank Blank. Raya?
What is pussy furry?
No.
Jeopardy first aired in 1964 with Art Fleming as its host and the voice of Don Pardo behind the announcer's mic.
It's Saturday Night Live!
The show that gave you the answer and you had to guess the question, Jeopardy, has come to be known as the Smart Catch Game Show, as it was a straight-up trivia game with some pretty hard questions.
His first important commission in Amsterdam was to paint that city's Guild of Surgeons. Good luck, players.
The board had categories that the contestants chose from with 5 questions per category, each harder and worth more cash. It spun off a daytime version in 1984, hosted by Alex Trebek, who would take over night duties as well. And he was the host for 36 years until his death on January 8th, 2021.
He was a legend.
It was even iconic enough to get a Weird Al Yankovic song to go with it. Side note, I once worked for a guy who made it onto Jeopardy as a contestant, and he was a really smart cat. The dude went on to Final Jeopardy with a big lead over everybody else and bet it all, only to lose it on the Final Jeopardy question.
No snow on my wedding day, but I had 8 inches on my honeymoon. So.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. What game shows did we leave off? What would you have added? And what do you think we shouldn't have had on there? Let us know, and we'll see you next time on Counting Shit Down with the Crypt. Much love.
So we're all winners!